Good day, traders. Hoping that everybody's doing well today. Let us get into the markets and see what we can find. Can you kindly confirm how the sound is, and then we can take it from there. Sound is perfect. That's good. Awesome. What pairs do you guys want us to look at today? And let's take it from there. This one here, we'll probably be looking at an entry from these zones and basically break down into the lower time frames so we can find a neater area of interest, which will probably be this one. And remember, we don't want to be entering trades without using stops and understanding what price does at those levels. So you can actually include this as well and just keep it like that, which would make the stop loss range a little bit too big. Go back into the 30, try find a nice area to trade from, which would be this one here. So let's look at the GJ, AUD, and US 30. We'll take a look at that. Let's just find a good area to work with from these levels. 11.6, not bad. Go back into the hourly, and then this is a trade that we would be looking at in the near future, and of course targeting the lower levels. So we do mark this as is on GJ. This is based off the daily, of course, so you would need to be watching it as it keeps going back up. And then once it does trigger, of course you want price to get into these levels, and once it does get into levels, you need to watch what it does breaking down, then probably enter on the way down. This is why we use stops, by the way, so be careful of that. And the Wushu toolbox, of course. Am I pressing this? Okay, there we go. And then US 30. Okay, let me just mark these price points, and then you guys will be able to see it properly. There we go. Now just hold on a second. Awesome. So getting into the US 30, I see US 30 went into the zone that we spoke about yesterday, which is this one, of course. So what we want to do now is watch what it does in the lower time frames, pushing up and potentially try to get an entry. So for example, now looking at the 30, you'd want this as well to be holding. This will probably be holding as well, and then once price does, of course, it did break that level as well, coming into this one here. So this could be a potential trade-off area here, and dropping into the lower time frames, you are looking at that area there, dropping into low again. So that does look pretty good. And let's take a look at that. So it's a 43-point stop loss range, and you can see price basically getting into the range, so you probably want to wait for it before pushing up. And then if you do look at the hourly one, what you'd want to see as well, to be on the safe side, is to watch what price does at these levels. And if it does break these levels, of course, then you can, if it does do that and then come back down to this, you can potentially look at the buy, provided it doesn't break this level here. So the current one does look neat, and if it does retrace from this one, goes back up, we will look for probably using this candle as an area of interest for price to come back down and push up, because we'd expect this level to hold. So that's what we are looking at. So to look something like that. So if you do want to get in from these levels, you would get in. Looking at a good stop loss range, of course, something similar to that. And remember, using stops only. So you'd use a stop, buy stop now, and wait for price to basically push up. And if you do go back into, say, for example, the 1 minute candles, you also want to see what price is doing in these levels. And if you do see something similar to this, where price is doing that, then you'd actually want to wait for these levels to be broken first, and then price coming back down, triggering you in, and then pushing up. That's to add on another confluence. So for now, that's how you'd look at it. And wait for it. So that's where we are on the US 30. There we go. And then once you get into the, let me just take a look here. Let's look at the, we did GJ, we just did US 30. Let's take a look at AUD USD. And then SA40, I don't know what happened with the SA40 yesterday. So you guys will update me of how that played out, and if we did get any triggers. So with the AUD USD, we are looking at a nice downward move, nice downward momentum. We do look at that swing. I go back up, push down, breaking those levels. So we do look at something similar to using this candle here on the hourly, and then drop down into the lower time frame, so you can find a better stop loss range. And of course, you don't want it to be too tight. For example, this 4.3 would probably kick a lot of you guys out, and I've noticed that with some of the traders. So you can basically extend it. It's usually ideal to extend from the top, so you can increase your stop loss range and make it much better. 6.1 should be good enough. And then you are looking at something along these ranges. This is on the AUD USD, something along these ranges here, pushing down all the way, of course. Go back to the hourly and see how it's looking. And what you also want to do now is you want to see what the daily key zone is saying. For example, you want to see, sorry about that, there you go. If you want to see how the daily is looking, because you don't want to be trading at levels that are going to be too painful. Okay, that's where we are. So on the daily, we are bullish. So we should expect this level to hold. And yeah, basically for price to come back up, and then once it's confirmed by breaking these levels, then we could potentially see a nice T-off area to work from, and take it from there. On the daily, of course. On the hourly, it's a different ball game. We'll be trading into that daily zone, knowing very well that, let me just make it bigger. We know very well that whatever we'll be doing on this move, we'll know that this is supposed to hold. So we know that we need to be very careful when you get to these levels. And if it does continue going down and then it does break that, then we are looking at a nice bearish move. So we'll see how that plays out. So on the hourly, we are still bearish. So let's watch what it does. And then I see Troy wants us to look at SA40. Price is supposed to tell you a story, guys, and once it does, so SA40 is still at the same levels as it from yesterday, so should be waiting for it to break that level first before pushing up and then breaking down again. And like I said, so we want to see something like that. So that's how we'll be approaching it. So we just have to keep holding and waiting. I'm actually going to add this to my watch list and then follow it as well with you guys and see how it plays out. And then gold. See, someone wants to look at gold. Let's take it gold. Gold should be the last one, and then we hop over into the markets in a couple of minutes, then see how that plays out. Gold is still playing in our daily range here, and we don't see any nice structure within, so we are gonna have to wait for it to basically drop down and find an area here to enter. After it grabs all this liquidity that's laying here, of course, and then or the opposite, and just keep waiting for that. But now, if you do want to insist on trading this pair, you probably are going to have to drop into your very low time frames, and even then, it's going to be a bit too tight. I mean, because this is technically a bit of a range that it's working on. Well, it's not that much of a range. You can see price breaking down, but you can see all these massive wicks that basically destroy the. I mean, if you look at it, like the structure is very, yeah, it's not as nice, it's not as neat. So dropping to the 15, also not as neat, and then dropping lower. So it is a bit of a range. So if you do want to trade the range, then you can basically trade the old school supply and demand, which I don't really recommend. But yeah, basically your price will drop down. But once you get to these levels, you buy, and then go all the way up. Once it gets to those levels, you sell. So this will be a bit of a chasing price basically. So that I would not recommend. I would not trade it myself. So yeah, GU, let's maybe take a look at GU. Hopefully GU will give us something else, because most of these are not giving us good news. Where is my GU pay? There we go. Going to the hourly. Okay, switch over to the daily, just see what's happening on the daily. So this is still the level that we are targeting, but you can see on the daily we have a bit of a bullish move pushing up, and as it's coming back down into our nice little area here. So we could potentially get a nice T off, of course, just by going deeper into price and then finding a nice candle to work with, which would be this one. Include that work as well. And the pips are probably extremely huge, so we'll probably have to drop even lower just so we can get a nice T off area in this one, of course. So you can use this one here, or you can use that one there. So let's just go for this one. That should be about enough. Yeah, 8 pips. Go back into the hourly. This is looking at that daily, of course, so you are going to look at something similar to this. Pushing up from here, going all the way up here. It would look like that. And of course, go into the daily. So this is us trading this move here. This move here. It would have been beautiful to basically find it at this lower level, closer to this key zone. But yeah, that's not how the market works. Doesn't give you what you want. Okay, and then if you were to trade this on the hourly, I saw a bit of a, it was a bit too busy. Okay, let me just cancel that. On the hourly, I wouldn't really see or recommend any position yet. Yeah, nothing yet on the hourly. So we are looking at that and something along these lines. And remember, you want to wait for price to basically get into your zone first. Don't just sell. And then once it does get into your zone, you wait for price to basically start pushing up and then basically enter on the way up. Or just use stops, of course. And then if it does break the zone and keeps going down, breaking these levels, you should be expected to do another analysis, find another good area of interest to enter, and take it from there. But you can see on the hourly as well, we're still bullish. We're still extremely bullish. Look at that. Anyway, so that's where we are. This level should hold. So that's why we're using that as our tear off. And that's it for GU, guys. And that's it for our analysis this morning. Happy trading, manage your risk, trade well, and we'll catch up again tomorrow pre-London. Cheers, guys.